Hi there. So today we're going to talk about the Five of Swords. My favorite card, said no one ever. No, really. This card, the Five of Swords, also known as the Lord of Defeat, is probably one of the more complicated cards in the whole deck and maybe one of the most disliked. No one wants to see this, but we're going to give it some love today and we're going to talk about it. So let's jump in. All right, so the first thing is, it's a five. Fives in tarot are about change. They're about challenge, disturbance, and about the need to adapt. The swords are about thought and reason. They're about communication and conflict. So the traditional meanings of the Five of Swords is strife, argument, winning at all cost, conflicting ideas, and even defeat. So when we enter the card, there are three figures. Now we can read these figures in one of two ways. We can read these as three individual figures having a argument or some sort of conflict and going their own ways. As you can see, they've all kind of disbanded. Swords are on the floor, things like they've happened, and maybe everybody needs some cooling off time. Or we can look at this as a story of one individual and the three stages of coming to terms with a conflicting or difficult, challenging moment that they had to deal with, how they're navigating it. So let's dig into that and see where we are. So if that was the case, the first card, the first image that we look at is this image that is farthest away, facing the water, head in his hands, feeling shame, despair, and overall just emotion over whatever it is that has just happened. Maybe he can't even deal with it and face the people that he's conflicted with. The second individual is the one in the middle, closer, wearing yellow. Yellow is mistrust. It can be envy. It can be just overall discomfort with the situation. And he's got a red cloak over his shoulder. The red cloak can be all of a sudden like awareness of his free will and the role that he played in whatever it is that went down. And the final figure is the main figure. The main figure is carrying three of the five swords. So two of the swords are facing up. One of the swords is facing down, which shows an imbalance, maybe just unsure about how it is he wants to move forward, just conflicting feelings about what went on. The two swords that remain at his feet is information that maybe has not yet been discovered, and just trying to figure out what important information maybe has not yet been shared or discussed. But either way, this figure, which has all of the five swords within his reach and in his possession, he holds all the power in this situation. And the other two individuals are definitely aware of that. So then we move to the clothing. Some of the clothing is like the green and the brown. Green can be growth, it can be expansion, but it can also be envy and jealousy. Brown is about getting rooted and about really trying to figure out like what happened here and how can I grow from this. Next, I want to look at the clouds. And these clouds, they're not like light, fluffy, warm, happy clouds. They're kind of like jagged. They're windy and conflicted and just show the winds of change. Things are changing here, and that's why they're in the five. And the final thing I want to point out is the mountains. You can see in the distance on the other side of the water, there are mountains. And the mountains are challenges. They're tests, spiritual attainment, things that we aspire to. And they're on the water, but I don't really feel like the figures are paying any attention to these mountains. They're so caught up in their current moment. And they have lack of foresight for what's going on within the big picture and for what's going to be happening going forward. They're not thinking about what's going to happen next week, next month, or even next year. That is the Five of Swords. So I wrote a couple of journal prompts for you, things for you to think about, to work through. And if you have any comments about how I interpreted the card, I'd love to hear them below. And I would also love to hear some feedback on the journal prompts that I'm going to share with you right now. So, prompt 1. If you have been wronged or defeated by someone in some way, whether that's happening now or that has happened somewhere in your past and maybe you're having a hard time releasing that. What lessons did you take away that have made you a stronger person for it? And secondly, I wanted to start out by pointing out that in adversity, integrity and grit can be beautiful allies. So how can integrity and grit support you in times of difficulty? And how can you lean on them a bit more right now? An affirmation I'd like to leave you with is that my lessons move me ahead. Always. Remember that. I look forward to seeing you the next time. Thanks for stopping by.